Hello, everyone. Hope you are doing excellently well. This is Afan Ahmed Mirza, and I am a tutor at Abil School of Accountants. And I mainly teach F1, F2, F3, F4, and F8 audit and assurance in both English and Urdu languages. Okay. So, what was the reason that we have come together today? What is the one thing that has dragged us towards this session in the beginning of our journey towards excellence? Now, this session is particularly based on our understanding of the subject audit and assurance and the exam and how to go about it. Now, for the past several years, since I am teaching or I was studying as well, the one thing that I have heard from each and every one that was around me was that audit is the toughest paper of them all. It is a subject that squeezes out a lot of effort from you. It is a very theoretical subject. It has extremely lengthy theories. You have to memorize a lot of things, and you have lack of time, etc., etc., etc. Many things were discussed by many people. Until now, when I see the students studying, the tragedy that I see is happening with each and every one of you who have already studied the subject or is going to study the subject is the approach you choose. Audit is the most practical subject of them all. You practically apply it in your life on daily basis. But the tragedy is when we study it, we're studying it only on theoretical basis. We're seeing it as the most theoretical subject of them all. So people who have very good memory and who can just read things and memorize them, they are happy with the subject. They are like, this is the excellent subject. But the people like me who have a weak memory and see things towards a practical approach struggle with the subject. The reason behind it is you are studying it the wrong way. This is not a theoretical subject. This is the only subject that applies all the theoretical knowledge to the practical world. And when we go through this orientation, I understand that you are scared about it. You have seen the passing ratio and you're petrified by it, that a skill level exam has such low passing ratio. You are going to have a thought in your mind, or you are having a thought in your mind by told to you by other people that this is the toughest of exam of them all. This will squeeze a lot of hard work from you. This is a very difficult exam to pass, and you have a very limited time to study and or to cover, etc., etc., etc. But I assure you, once you go through this orientation, this session with your complete attention, just for the next 30 to 45 minutes, your questions are going to be cleared. You will be more confident and eased up about this exam than any other exam that you have studied. Trust me when I tell you, this is one of the easiest exams. Once you go through the session, once you start to study it, you start to realize that this is a thing that you have been doing in your particular life for the last past several years. So just what you have to do is learn to develop a perspective for a particular area. So with this, we start our orientation, we start our session, and let's see what is the areas that we're going to cover today. So first of all, we are going to see the introduction of audit and assurance. What is audit and assurance as a subject, as an exam? What are the areas that we're going to cover? What is basically the perspective of an auditor towards organization that we fail to understand, and we fail the exam as well due to this particular reason, because we fail to understand the perspective of an auditor, the view of the auditor. Okay. Then we will see the paper pattern, the marks allocation. Then we will have a detailed walkthrough, a detailed understanding of the syllabus, what we are going to study in this particular exam, and how are we going to relate it to our personal lives or practical lives so that we can easily develop an understanding of the particular scenarios. Then we will have a discussion on why do students fail this exam. The main reason why you guys are basically focusing on this orientation is to understand the reasons for common failure that we have gotten through the examiner's report and previous experiences and student feedback as well. And how have I particularly designed my course so that you can pass this exam. Okay, so let's begin. First of all, the paper pattern. Now, the paper pattern basically focuses on two sections. First is the OTQ. OTQ are basically just MCQs. Just MCQs. 3 questions. Each question has 5 MCQs. OTQs have basically each question will be having 5 MCQs. Okay. Each MCQ is basically 2 marks. In total, in section A, you are going to be having three different cases, and each case will have 5 MCQs. So that means each case is worth 10 marks, and 3 cases, that means 30 marks in total, is the weightage of section A. In section B, you are going to have CRQs. CRQs are basically you're going to have to write the particular answers. You have to draft some answers, such as the risks in audit, the areas to focus, what do we go about, etc., etc. So one question is going to be 30 marks. The 2 questions are going to be 20 marks. In total, it holds a weightage of total of 17 marks. That means a substantial portion is in audit that you have to write upon. So substantial portion is for writing 30 marks, 30% weightage of MCQs. Time allotted 3 hours and 15 minutes. Basically, 3 hours is considered, 15 minutes is for reading, and the passing marks is 100, as we know all. The passing ratio is 44% in the past 2 years, but it is fluctuating. Sometimes it goes to 38%, sometimes it brings up to 40, 42%, 45%. But one thing I want to tell you guys, it is the most useless thing you guys are focusing on. Why are you guys basically looking at the passing ratio? Are you guys all equal? Is everyone having an equal understanding of a particular topic? So why are you judging yourself or judging the exam based on the passing ratio? The passing ratio is dependent on hundreds of things, such as the number of people attending it, the difficulty of the exam, the study level of the exam, the appropriate timing of the exam, which attempt was it. There are numerous things. So if you are looking at the passing ratio and you're determining whether you will be able to pass your exam or not, then you're doing the worst mistake of your life. This is not a measure of your passing or failing ratio. Many people pass an exam that has a 30% passing ratio in the first attempt, and many of them people fail a paper that has 70% passing ratio. So it doesn't matter. The only thing that is going to make you pass the exam or your life is the hard work you put in, the dedication you put in, and the level of efficiency you put in your preparation. Not just hard work, not just dedication, but efficiency is the key towards your study plan. It is the key towards your success. If you are doing hard work and in the wrong place, it is not going to support you anywhere. It is not going to take you anywhere. If you're just memorizing things, as soon as you get the exam, you might pass it, but in the future, you're going to forget everything. What are you going to do when you're on the job? You don't remember things. In the interview, you're not going to pass the interview of the particular organization. So please, I request you guys, forget the passing ratio. Never ever in your life judge the difficulty of an exam based on the passing ratio. See what is suitable for you. This exam is not optional, so you have to get this exam. But this exam, I am assuring you, is not as difficult as it seems to be or is told to you about. So how am I saying it? I'll just give you the overview of the particular subjects syllabus, so you will have an understanding on how is it not difficult. Now, first of all, our regulatory frameworks that include your corporate governance that was studied in F1, F4. You have already studied it. Then you have our statutory requirements that are the requirements of an audit for a particular company. You have an ethical code of conduct. Now, these areas basically form a foundation of your audit. Now, when we are talking about the particular corporate governance or the particular statutory audit or ethical conducts, they are basically referring to the structure of the organization and the structure of the audit's code. Now, tell me one thing. If I tell you that audit is the independent examination of financial statements or an organization, if not a statutory audit. Now, audit is the independent examination of a company or a company's financial statements. If you go for a statutory audit, we'll keep it precise here. We are going for a statutory audit. Statutory audit is an audit required by the government to be conducted on a company qualifying for certain thresholds, such as a public company. A public company has to have an audit when they are operating in a country. The country's conditions vary, but in your syllabus, a public company has the requirement to get an audit by the government. Now, if we are a public company, and we want a person to check our company's financial statements. Okay. Now, will you hire a person who has a past record of taking bribes or having a biasness towards your company or towards any of the areas of his clients? Will you be trying to get a person who is not ethically correct or ethically valid? He might be with you or against you based on the amount you give you, based on some percentage you give you. So ethical conduct is basically a requirement for the auditor to be vigilant about. If you find that ethically there are any kind of threats towards you, you have to mitigate. Now, what can be an ethical threat? Now, I will give you an example. Now, let's say if you know that an examination, an examination that you're going to give, an exam that you're going to give is checked by a person who knows you and is against you. Will you be satisfied with the results of the checked exam paper by the particular examiner? You won't be, because you know that person has a bias against you. That means he's ethically corrupt. If a person is ethically corrupt, can we rely on the judgment he has made, on the opinion they have given us? No, we are not going to. So ethics is a foundation that is required by the audit firm. This is the legal regulation that has been set by the government or by the Board of Ethics for audit professionals. Now, statutory audit basically is the requirement by the government given to an organization, given to multiple organizations who qualify a threshold, qualify a criteria that now they are in the domain where they have to get an audit for the organization. Then there are types of assurances. Now, types of assurances are basically, in theoretical terms, there are three. Okay? In theoretical terms, there are three. First is absolute assurance, second is reasonable assurance, and third is limited assurance. Now, when you look at absolute assurance is giving a guarantee. Now, I ask you a question. Can you give a guarantee that you will pass this exam? If you are very confident, you can give a guarantee, but it is not a thing that is certain. You cannot give a 100% guarantee that you will pass the exam. No one can. So, an absolute assurance is a thing that we cannot give. A reasonable assurance is saying that yes, I'm 80-90% sure that I can pass the exam. That is a well confident person. Yes, we can give that. A limited assurance is telling the person that according to the exam I have given, according to the paper I have given, I think I have done everything correctly. This is a moderate person, a normal person like me who gives assurance that yes, according to what I have written in the exam, I think I'll pass. So these are types of assurances given in audit report. Now, if you are looking at the organization, if you're looking at an organization, will you be trying to get a assurance that is going to increase liability on the financial statements? Yes, you are. So in the syllabus of audit, the main objective of an organization is to prepare their financial statements in a way that the auditor, once checks the financial statements, gives an opinion that says that everything in the financial statements are true and fair according to the work we have done. So this is the main objective of an audit. Okay. Now, if you are thinking that where is the practicality of audit, what is basically an audit? Now, the first thing that I told you guys was audit is an independent examination of financial statements. Now, leave the definition aside. Just focus on the word independent examination. Independent means unbiased, uninfluenced examination of anything. Now, in practical life, even if we are going to buy some fruits, we are examining the fruit whether it is fresh, whether it is eatable, whether it is in according to the condition that it is supposed to be. Yes, if we are basically checking a fruit that is on an acceptable level, on a standard, on a fresh basis, on the in accordance to us, in according to our judgment, it will be sweeter or bitter, whatever it is. We are doing an audit. We are auditing. We are checking the particular subject matter. We are checking a particular subject that is according to the suitable criteria. Now we have set some criteria. Due in accordance to which we will check the particular subject matter that whether it stands on the criteria or not. If it is up to the mark, up to the criteria, then it is known to be, or it is said to be, and to an acceptable level. And if it is below that criteria, we will say that no, we cannot accept this particular subject matter. Okay. Now, taking the situation and applying into audit. In audit, the subject matter is known to be the financial statements. The subject that we are focusing on is the financial statements. And when we look upon the financial statements, the suitable criteria is that the financial statement should be made upon the applicable financial reporting framework. That means the IFRS of the GAAP. If the financial statements are made in accordance with the IFRS standards or the suitable financial reporting framework and are representing true and fair picture, we are giving a positive opinion. We are saying that yes, this is upon the standard that we have to look upon. This is a standard that financial statement should be made on. So yes, we can accept the financial statements. Look, how simple is it? That you can relate it to your personal life. You have been doing it on a daily basis. So what you need to develop is a perspective. Only a perspective is required for you to excel this exam. So let's move forward towards our risk assessment and plan. Okay. Now, I'm going to lay out scenario and I'm going to lay out an example for you. When you are basically going to a new place, you're taking a trip. Okay. Let's say you're going to Mexico or you're going to Afghanistan. What is the first thing you do? First thing is when you are going to go somewhere or do something, what is the first thing you do? You plan it. You plan it. You plan what? You plan that whether this particular trip or action that I'm going to take, is it practically possible or not? Is it viable for us or not? Whether we will be able to execute it or not. Okay. Now, in making this decision that whether this is viable or not, will you be assessing the level of risk you are taking in some of the particular areas? Let's say if I'm traveling by road, what is the risk in it? That my car might break down. If my car breaks down or breaks down or any mishap happens, it is a risk that we're going to face. Now, if I'm planning a trip, an action basically, if I'm planning an action or a trip, will I first assess the level of risk the particular action or trip will carry? Yes or no? Yes, I will. So this is an area, this is a preliminary activity that we do in planning. In the planning phase, we are basically looking at the risks in the particular action or activity that we are conducting or going to conduct. So risk is an important area. Risk is an important area because this is going to make or break your plan of actions. Now, if the risk is very high, you see that this is a very risky project, this is a very risky trip. If I take this trip up, there are higher chances that I would be in a situation that I don't want to be. Then will you take the trip? Will you move forward and make a plan for it? You won't exactly. You will say that this is a thing that is not my cup of tea. Let's leave it. So you are not going to take up the trip. Now the same thing applies on the particular audit examination, the planning and assessment. If you are going for an audit, if you are going to check someone's company, check someone's financial statements, will you first assess the level of risk they contain, the level of problem that you're going to face, the level of difficulties you are going to have? If the difficulties are beyond the benefit that you are going to get, will you accept the audit and plan for it? You won't. So if you are assessing the risk in the planning phase, you're basically seeing whether you are going to accept the client or not. Before the planning phase, we are also looking at the risk assessment. If the risk is higher, we have to work more. We have to do some things to reduce the level of risk. We are going to, if we have the risk that is going to be very high, then we are not going to accept the audit. We're going to move aside. We're going to say that it is not a thing that we are up to. Please, we are sorry about it. We're not going to continue it. So this is what risk is about. Now, how can I identify risk? If you are taking a trip, how will you identify the risk? You will understand the particular trip's areas. If I'm going to Afghanistan or Mexico, any of the country, will I first look at the environment of the country? Is the environment friendly? Is the environment hazardous? Is the environment hostile? What is it? I will understand the particular entity, particular area that I'm going to visit. What is the currency exchange? What are the type of people? What are the reviews of others, etc., etc., etc. So first, understanding the opposing party or the objective is the main focus of risk. If you understand the party, you're able to identify the risk. If I'm able to understand the risk, identify the risk, will I be able to develop a strategy in accordance to the risk and plan to reduce the level of risk according to my strategy? Yes or no? Yes, I will. So, same concept is applying in audit. In an audit, when you are going to audit an organization, first you understand the organization. That how does it operate? How many directors do they have? What is the control risk? What are the controls developed? What is the reputation in the market, etc., etc. If you get to know this, if you get to know this, will you be able to identify the risk in the entity? Yes, we will. If we know the risk, will we be able to identify the plan, or we will be able to identify which areas we have to focus more? Yes, we will. Then we will maintain or develop a strategy according to it. If we develop a strategy according to the risk, will we be able to counter the risk? Yes, we will. So this is the area. This is the area where we are basically making a decision that will be a make or break for us. So you see, the things you are practically doing in your life, it is the same thing. The terminologies are different, the frequencies are different, the stakes are different, and the subject is different. But the concept is the same. So if anyone tells me that audit is a theoretical subject, tell me where is the theory here? It is the most practical subject that I have seen in my life. In terms of the contents, in terms of the logic, everything is very practical for you. Okay, let's move on. If you are now saying section number C, it is the internal control. Now, what are internal controls? Internal controls are basically some processes developed by the organization, so that they can mitigate or reduce the level of risk in the organization. Okay. Now, what is an example of this? Now, the example of this is basically if you are, let's keep it very simple for you. If you are in your home and you have an exam the next day, if you have the exam next day and you're using your mobile phone, now tell me one thing, what is the risk here? The risk is that you can fail your exam. Yes, the risk is that you can fail your exam. Okay. Now, with the risk, can I say that if you are particularly using your phone, the risk is increasing? Now, how can I reduce the risk? I can reduce the risk by implementing a process upon you, a check upon you by a senior staff, by a senior personnel who is going to straighten you up. Now, typically, if we see in Pakistan, our mothers have a very special tool that from which they can mitigate our activities like this. Okay, but in most of the foreign countries, it is told to be illegal. So, keeping it a little humane and little logical, if you want to pass the exam, if you want the exam to go as you planned it to go, you need to mitigate the risk and apply a control. So a control is basically a process applied that is going to mitigate the risk. So you are basically going to turn off your phone, or your parents are going to set a control on your phone, take the phone away from you and make you study there. This is a control applied by your parents so that you can pass the exam. You should work upon the particular exam as you should have supposed to be. So in order to make things work as they're supposed to work, we apply controls in organization so that they are working efficiently and the risk of having a wrong outcome is reduced. These are internal controls for you. Now, if we are applying a control there, if you are applying control there, that means if your parents are taking your phone away from you, if you are taken by surprise that your phone is taken, are there other devices in your house? There can be. So if a phone is taken away from you and you're not monitored, can you take up another device and start watching it? Or you can go and sleep instead of study. So only applying control is not important. It is important to monitor the control as well. Continuous evaluation, continuous supervision is important for us so that we can develop understanding, so that we can continuously mitigate the risk, we can continuously reduce the risk. Now, how are we going to develop a control? We are going to develop a control or understand the control by understanding the environment. Now, if I want to apply a control somewhere, let's say if I want to apply a control somewhere, for example, I am driving my car. Now, the risk is I have a long drive that my tire can uh, burst or get punctured. This is a risk. Now, how can I mitigate the risk? How can I reduce the risk? I can reduce the risk by checking my tire's condition beforehand. I can keep a spare tire with me. Yes. Now, if I know that I on the road I am going, it is very rugged, and there is a higher chance that the particular tire is going to burst there, I am evaluating the environment. I am understanding the environment, that how risky is it. If it is having a higher risk, I need to apply a higher level of control. If I am applying a higher level of control, a higher level of processes, a higher level of risk mitigation strategy, that means I am going to be effectively reducing the risk. I might carry 3 to 4 more tires with me, so that if any one or two tire burst, I have a replacement for them. So these are internal controls for you. Moving on, are audit evidence. Now, audit evidence is basically a very easy area, a very simple area that we're going to see. It is a very precise, concise topic, very easy thing that we can cover up within 5 minutes. To be very honest with you guys, it takes only 5 minutes to review audit evidence. Now, the strategy we are going to study it through. At the end, we are going to revise the complete audit within 30 minutes. This is how easy audit is. Now, audit evidence is basically our evidence obtained by the work we do. Okay. Now, leave audit aside. Let's take a practical example. You have given some money to your brother or sister to go and buy something for you. Okay. Let's say you have told them to bring some coffee for you. Okay. Now, how will you ensure that the price of the coffee is $5 or $2? How can you ensure that? This is a practical question for you. The easiest way is to see the receipt. If the receipt says that yes, it is $3 or $5, did you get an evidence that your brother is telling the truth or sister is telling the truth? Yes, I have gotten evidence here. So this is how simple an audit evidence is. Audit evidence is basically known to be SAE. That means SAAE, sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Now, sufficiency is basically focusing towards the quantity of the evidence that we have, the number of evidences we have. Appropriateness refers to two things: reliability and relevance. Reliability says that the audit evidence that we're getting should be in a form that we can rely on it. And relevance means that we should have the evidence in a way that it is pertaining to the particular area of focus. Let's say if you want to verify whether the coffee is for $5 or $4 or $3, will the brother give you a receipt of the coffee, or he will give you a receipt of the groceries he bought? Will the receipt of the grocery be relevant to you? It won't be. You will be focusing on only the receipt that is pertaining to your coffee. So this is how evidence can be developed. So in order to extract evidence from the financial statements, we are doing some processes that are known as substantive procedures. You're going to see that as well. Substantive procedure is a process that we apply on the organization to extract an evidence. Now, a substantive procedure can be inquiry. Now I'm going to relate it to your practical life. The same example. How do you get to know that your brother has paid $5 for the particular coffee? You ask him. That is basically inquiry. That is substantive procedure. So you did something. You did something in order to obtain an evidence by looking at a supporting document. Now, you asked your brother that please tell me how much did the coffee cost? He told you $5. You said, what is the supporting document you have? What is the supporting document you have in order to prove that you're telling the truth? He gives you the receipt. Now, this receipt is basically an evidence that you have obtained, a supporting document that you have obtained, that on which you are giving an opinion, getting to a result, you're getting to an outcome that your brother is telling the truth. This is how our audit evidence works. And this is how the complete audit works. Moving on, our review and reporting. Now, review and reporting basically focuses on events that have occurred at the reporting date or after reporting date. Okay. Now, it refers to subsequent events. Subsequent means that they are after the event. Events that have occurred after the event. We're going to focus on that. We're going to focus on written representation. That means some written letters, written documents that are required from the management in order to get certain type of evidence on certain types of areas. Then we have the audit opinion. Audit opinion basically focuses on the last resort. It is basically the last thing that we do in audit. The audit opinion is basically the outcome of the audit. You are giving a conclusion whether the financial statements are true and fair or not. And the going concern is a concept that we have studied earlier on as well. But going concern is focused here at whether the company is able to operate for a long term or not. Okay. So these are the areas that we see in the review and reporting phase. A practical example. If you have given someone an assurance that the fruits you bought today, the fruits that are brought or that will be coming to you, are in the fresh conditions. Okay. You have told someone that the fruits that you have today are in fresh condition. Okay. Now, can any event occur tomorrow due to which your fruits can go bad? Yes, they can. These are basically subsequent events. That means at the year end, at the date of reporting, that is the year end, you told some facts and figures to the third parties. But after the year end, some activities happened due to which your basic reported documentation, facts and figures have changed. Those are known as subsequent events. And we will see how they affect the organization's particular financial statements and on audit opinion. Now, today you told your friend that you have enough money to fund the complete year, but an event that was uncertain happened with you, due to which you don't have any money left. So your plans for the foreseeable future are invalid now. That is going concern for you. That now, if a company is not in a position to operate for the next 12 months at least, it is known to be having a going concern issue. This is going to change the financial statements completely and the audit report as well. So this is the area of the final stages of an audit that we're going to see. Okay. Then we have employability and digital skills. Some basic examples of what are the key skills, what are the key applications that we use, data analytics, CAD systems, computer aided designs. So basically what we are going to see here is how technology is integrated with our traditional audit in order to develop a scale where we are operating to a very efficient method, a very efficient way, including our VLOOKUP formulas, our HLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, our Power BI digitalized presentations, our data analytics, our integrated systems, our internal controls, our internal information technology controls that are present, etc., etc. So all those areas are going to be looked upon here. Now, before we move on to the area of failure, the key concept that we haven't discussed yet is that why is an independent person hired? Why is an independent person hired by the shareholders in order to take the financial statements? Now, why is it possible? Why is it a thing that we basically do? Why is the audit conducted? Now, audit is conducted basically as we know that the owner and the shareholder are two different people. They're two separate people. Now, when they're two separate people, we know very well that these two separate people have different functions. The shareholders have the function of funding the company. The employees or the management has the function of operating the company. Now, the person who is funding money, is giving you money, wants to check whether you are using the money in the appropriate places or not. And the things you are giving them, you're telling them are true and fair or not. to make an independent assurance to get a particular reliability on the financial statements, reliability on your work, they hire a third party. They call a professional and tell them, please check the financial statements, please check the entity whether I am being told the correct things or not. So a third party comes in and they check whether the things that are reported in the financial statements that are to be issued to the shareholders and other parties are true and fair or not. If they are, then they will issue an opinion saying that everything is true and fair. If they are not, they're going to report that as well. So an audit is basically an examination of the financial statements in which we are going to have a planning phase, we are going to have an evidence phase, we are going to have an opinion phase, we are going to have substantial procedures, we are going to have loads and loads of things done, and we are going to give an opinion at the end based on the evidence that we obtain. Now, why am I raising this question at the end of the discussion of the syllabus? Because now you have heard most of the terminologies, you understand most of the terminologies that we have referred in this particular last 5 minutes. Now, audit is the examination of financial statements where we are going to assess the risk of having an error or misstatement in the financial statements. We are going to perform some substantive procedures due to which we are going to have a particular risk assessment. We are going to have a particular strategy developed, and due to which we are going to obtain audit evidence through which we can give an opinion. So all of these areas were discussed above. That is why I'm giving you the particular definition of particular purpose at the end so that you can have an understanding of what is the approach towards audit. Now, in this particular domain, our objective is to do what? The auditor's objective is to check whether the financial statements are giving a true and fair picture or not by performing substantive procedures and obtaining audit evidence. Now, this is the function of the auditor, and they are going to be hired by the shareholders and they are going to check out the work of the management. So that's all for audit for. Now when we have looked upon the syllabus, I want to urge one thing: the 3 to 4 main focus areas that you should have and you should practice in audit and assurance. The first is substantive procedure. This is one of the key significant areas that you need to know, you need to practice, you need to have a very good grip on. Then we have test of controls. Test of controls is basically testing the internal controls whether they are appropriate or not to identify the level of risk in the entity. This is a significant area. Then we have audit planning and our assessment of risk and responses of an auditor. This is an area that holds substantive position. That means these 3 areas approximately hold 40 to 50% of the exam, or even 60%. Now 60% of the exam is standing on 3 areas. So we're going to have to focus a lot on that, but you can't ignore the rest of the 40%. Please don't do this. If I am telling you that 60% of the exam is based on these areas, the rest of the 40% is essential for you as well, because those are very easy marks for you to obtain. Okay, so in our CRQs, commonly asked questions are based on ethics, substantive procedure, audit risk and response, test of controls. These 4 topics and your audit report as well. 5 topics are continuously present within your 70 marks portion of the exam. So we cannot ignore that. We have to work a lot on that. So giving you an understanding of the exam procedure, the examiner's pattern, right? I'm not promoting you to focus only these topics. You have to focus on the complete areas. Now, moving with this, getting a complete overview of the syllabus, the examinable areas, etc., etc. Now, why do students fail? This is the most important area of our orientation. Now, what do you think people do wrong? What I personally feel and have seen, and the examiners told us as well, is that people tend to memorize things. People think that this is a theoretical subject that if I memorize and I have very good memory, I have everything, I have written everything 10 times, I remember everything, I will pass this exam. And this is why they fail. What is the reason behind this? The reason behind this is that if you are not able to apply the particular theoretical area onto a practical scenario, if you're not able to apply a theoretical knowledge onto a practical scenario, you won't be able to pass the exam, because no question in the exam is there which is not linked to a particular case. Even the MCQs have a scenario based situation. The 5 MCQs in one question are based on a scenario. The CRQs are based on a scenario. So everything is based on a scenario. And scenario based application is very easy if you understand the pattern of it. Okay. Then we have conceptual misunderstandings. Just memorizing some concepts, not applying them. This is the pattern that we have seen in multiple exams. And I'm going to tell you the reason why you have developed this and the particular pattern that I'm discussing why you fail. Poor exam techniques, that means you are not managing time accurately. You're not managing the questions appropriately. You're understanding what the examiner is trying to ask. And weak critical analysis, that means you are not able to understand a validity scenario. These are the 4 reasons that I have seen people fail. And the 5th reason is the significant of them all that I have not written here. Now, the reason why most of you are facing difficulty in audit and assurance, or basically failing in audit and assurance and SBL subjects like these, is because they don't have a set pattern. You guys are used to prepare your exam and attempt the exam on a standard pattern. Like financial reporting has IFRS, straight line, IFRS, a straight standard, apply the standard, get the answer, straightforward. In FM, a straight strategy is given to you for hedging, for an investment appraisal. You apply, you memorize it, apply it, and you move forward. Even in SBR, ATX, and your AFM exams, you are doing the same thing. The exam pattern is also known to you. That the examiner will give you a 50 marks question for business combination, etc., etc. All the 3 levels, all the 3 questions are known to you. But in audit and assurance, there is no set pattern. The only difference between audit and assurance and other exam is your usage of your brain. If you're using your brain and you're opening it up, you're understanding the process of how things are done. You're evaluating things. You're not just memorizing things, you are able to develop understanding how things start to work. If I am telling you a particular scenario, there are 2 types of people that I have seen. One person develops an understanding or tries to understand how an exam answer is written. He sees the steps, he sees the methodology through which we develop an answer. And one person is memorizing the answer. Okay. If you're memorizing the answer, you will fail. If you develop a strategy, if you understand a strategy of how we answer, you're going to pass the exam for sure. Now, what is the reason? Because if I am giving a particular scenario, that particular scenario is not going to be in the exam. Some other scenario is going to be there. Maybe an example that is the opposite of what we have studied, of a different area. So what will you do then? You have just memorized this example that I have told you. You have not opened up your brain. You're not able to be creative. If you're not creative, you can't pass the exam. Now, think as a practical person. Does your life operate on straight line or standards or principles that you have thought that you will pass the exam in first attempt and it happens? No, it does not. It is varying. It is having creativity. It has having variations. It is having multiple dilemmas here. So if your practical life, if your personal life is having it, won't the exam be? So the exam will have these types of things. So if you are not flexible enough to adjust to the particular difficulty thrown towards you, you're not going to pass in this exam, not in your personal life as well. So to develop a flexibility, to develop a skill of molding yourself towards the risk or to mitigate the risk, you need to develop a process to understand the process on how to be flexible. So in this exam, if you know how to be flexible enough to adjust to the particular scenario and develop an answer according to that scenario, you will pass the exam for sure. Okay. So these are the areas I have seen that people struggle with and they face difficulty because they have developed a continuous practice of just memorizing things and work upon the standard, move out of the standard, think outside the box, be creative, be innovative, and be prosperous. Okay. So now the strategy that I have developed for this particular exam for you to have a higher chance of passing, of having a better shot at this exam, is first of all, I have developed a study plan for you guys so that you can keep a track of what to do, when to do, and how to do. This is a very crucial thing because many people struggle with how to start or what to do now when the lectures are done, how to attempt the exam. You have no practice regarding the exam. So I have developed a study plan in which I am going to give you the syllabus divided into multiple sections, divided into multiple short sections in which you're going to be having particular topics, easy revisions, test, practice questions, and multiple mocks as well. The lectures I have recorded for you are of the maximum length of 45 minutes. So super easy for you if you are working personally. If you are a student and you have a very difficult uh, attention scenario with you. If you are not able to focus more than 30 minutes, I have a solution for you. I have made customized lectures that are of maximum length of 30 to 45 minutes. The average length is 30 minutes. Even some lectures are of 10 to 15 minutes. I have focused topics based lectures, not the length of it. I understand the 3 hour lecture is not a thing that we are suited to. If you are working, you have a lunch break, you can take the lecture. If you are studying for an hour and taking a break, it is the best suitable option for you. So that I have focused it for you guys so that you can have a higher learning yield out of the lectures. Okay. Then we will be having live revision classes. We will be having our live sessions, our tests, our mocks, and that will be replicating the ACCA examination standards. And I will be performing a feedback procedure with you guys. I will be giving you continuous feedback on the test, mocks, and the practice question that you have submitted to me. And we'll be giving you guidance on how to improve the quality of your answers. Then we have our continuous WhatsApp support, our live revision classes, and our further mocks that are going to be under exam conditions. Okay. Now, if you are willing to pass the exam, if you're studying from me or not, whatever the situation is, I will give you some tips. Please follow them, it will be helpful for you. Study a topic, not just theoretically, but with scenario cases. If you are studying audit, you should be able to apply it on scenarios. Then test yourself with at least 5 to 6 questions in practice scenarios for a particular topic. At least 5 to 6 questions, or the 10th question is the best scenario. 10 questions for a particular topic, a particular area, attempted by you individually. Then compare it with the examiner's answer. The examiner's answer is going to be longer, but the main points should be there. Okay, once you have done that, that means you have got the skill to write an answer. After that, attempt a test on timely basis so that you can have a better understanding on the time management. You have a better understanding what will be your position in the exam conditions. I personally do this practice with my students, and I recommend to do the same. And in the end, attempt at least 3 to 4 mocks on individual basis. I give 2 mocks at least to my students, and I have more mocks aligned if a student is willing to give. So that you are sure that when you give the exam, you are not having a surprise there. You are able to handle the fluctuations, the flexibilities that will be developed through the study module that I have designed for you. So the syllabus is divided into 8 sections. Each section will be having individual tests, individual practice questions, and lectures. Okay, that will be focused on scenarios, not just theoretical memorizing cases. Okay, so this is how I try to cater an effective study plan, effective passing rate. Alhamdulillah, I'm having a very good passing rate till now, and we will be trying to continuing it. Now, if you want to pass this exam, don't waste your time. Start now, and the thing that is going to change the outcome is your approach towards this exam. Please develop an appropriate approach. Please open up your mind, and please be ready to be prosperous, because you have got the potential. You have got the guts to make the examiner confused that whether he has made the exam too easy for you this time. Now, I will make sure that you have the potential extracted from you. I will make sure that you make the examiner confused that whether he has made the exam too easy for the particular attempt. So let's make it together. Let's have a session that is made memorable. So that's all from my side. That was the complete details that I wanted to give you guys regarding audit and assurance, regarding the particular areas that we're going to focus, the strategies that I've developed, and some areas that you should know about. I hope all the queries that you guys are having in your mind are clarified right now, and you are a little bit of in a state of relief where you know what should we do next. The next thing that you should do is enroll and join us with the journey to success. Now, a quote that I personally love is success doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do consistently. Stay disciplined, stay focused, and work hard. It will pay off. So you are continuously auditing in your personal life. You just don't know it yet. So get aware, get vigilant, and get your success. So stay tuned. If you have any other queries, the contact information are present here. That's all from my side. Thank you so much. Hope to see you in the journey to success. Goodbye.